Dating as a black person in Japan should become one of the Olympic sports, to be honest. Or, I don't know, triple X, extreme sports. Because, my name is Bacon and I'm a teacher in Japan. I've been here for 6 years. Now, I'm going to try and tell you pros and cons of dating in Japan. And this is from my own, experience, as well as of some of my friends and colleagues who I've also discussed with. So everything that I take is not a that I say rather is not a representation of every black lady in Japan. So take everything I say with a huge chunk of salt. The first thing I can tell you is, number one, if you're a black woman, we black people, we are very blessed. We have big things. Our assets are huge, which is very different when you compare with ladies from this side. They have very petite bodies, very small in stature. So you might think, oh my God, they're gonna see me. Oh my God, they're gonna see this huge badonkadonk, this big nyash. Oh, actually, even if you go right now on the internet and then you search for Japanese street interviews, most of the guys actually don't like it. They actually don't like the big. They don't like the big nyash. So if you're hoping to get your Asian king and you went and got big nyash going to the gym to grow your nyash, rethink it. Some of us were not blessed with that. So when I go to shops to buy clothes, I'm looking for clothes which make it look big. Most of the times, this one will make your nyash look smaller because that's their beauty standard here. So number one, if you're going to think you're going to use your body to get, suitors, most likely not. I'll tell you the other points in part 2. I don't want my videos to be long, so I'll just do in parts, because I feel like if I make it too long, you won't be able to watch the whole of it. It'll just make it like really tiresome to watch. If you want to know more about dating in Japan, please let me know in the comments. I'm your little guide to life in Japan as an African. Thank you.
This is why some Japanese people are racist. First of all, over 95% of people living here are Japanese. That means a lot of us are not used to interacting with foreigners, even seeing them, depending on the place you're living in. In addition, most of us don't speak English despite the fact we learn English for 6 years in school. And a lot of Japanese people expect foreigners to speak only English. So between foreigners living in Japan, they have this inside joke. Whenever they speak little Japanese, everyone says Nihongo jozu. That means your Japanese is so good. Even when they only say like hello, thank you in Japanese. So a lot of Japanese people are actually afraid of talking to foreigners because number one, they look different. Number two, they probably do not speak Japanese. So a lot of the time, it's not because Japanese people hate foreigners, but they're afraid of interacting with them. People be like, I can't speak English. And the foreign people are like so friendly and easygoing, but how do we do that? We never do it with strangers in Japan. Like now, this is the second thing. We Japanese people do understand that Japanese people are different from Western people in terms of like culture, like how we approach strangers. Those are the reasons why I think some foreign people get gaijin seated, which means when you're like sitting on the train, both seats next to you are empty just because you're a foreigner and you look different and you look intimidating. And there's obvious racism too. For example, just because you're a foreigner, you have a hard time finding an apartment, even if you speak Japanese. And I've talked to a realtor before and she said there's some property owners who do not let foreigners in to their property because they do not know the Japanese rule. I think this is a straight up racism. I think they can do better. That's lacking in Japanese societies, I think. Diversity and try to accommodate as many people as possible from different backgrounds so that everyone's happy. But I feel like this is a different topic because Japan values conformity compared to individualism. But I hear some people say conformity is something what's keeping Japan a safe country, clean. Also foreign people with tattoos. I mean, some Japanese people do have tattoos, but very few. If you have tattoo all over your body, you might get rejected to enter certain public places because you look scary. Japan still has negative connotation to tattoos, and I used to be afraid of people with tattoos before studying abroad. After meeting a lot of people with tattoos, and also like seeing people who are doing like tattoo tours online and everything, they're not scary at all. And I also see a lot of foreign people talking about their experience in Japan as a foreigner, and they speak English, and a lot of Japanese people do not watch videos in English, and that means lack of awareness. So I get to learn all these things from foreign people living in Japan, from media, because I do speak English, and nobody wants to be a racist. So I try my best not to make anyone feel like that. But if you're born and raised in Japan and never was around foreign people growing up, they might have more difficult time understanding what a racism look like. So if there's more awareness brought up in Japan about racism and people's experiences as a foreigner, I think more people understand. More of the story is we shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Just because someone's from other country doesn't mean they're any different. Maybe they look different, maybe they act different, but at the end of the day, they are a person. I hope it will get better. I also started a Japanese account a week ago where I teach Japanese people how to speak English or cultural differences in general. So I try to spread awareness to my followers and everyone. Okay, love you, bye!
So I'm just done with having my tea. I want us to discuss about Africans leaving Africa, and they're being persuaded that they have an opportunity in countries like Russia. We saw the other day South Korea. We see nowadays there are even countries that are selling citizenship. Yes, countries are selling citizenship. So there are those countries which are trying to develop. And now if you want to come and go there and get the advantage of this country in a way that if you have the passport of these countries, you are able to travel many parts of the world. And these countries are selling their passport because they are found in the Caribbean. Yeah, everyone is calling everyone, and everyone is calling the black person. But one country caught my attention. Now it's twice that it has caught my attention. And the first time I didn't create a video on it, just let it slide. But this second time, no, we have to say something about it. We all know of the country of the rising sun. Yeah. If you know the country of the rising sun, that's Japan. Now, Japan has been calling black people, and they need black people to impregnate their women. Yeah, it might seem absurd. It might seem like fiction, but it's true. This fiction is reality. Yeah, black people are being called in Japan to go and impregnate the Japanese women. But why would you call a black person to go and impregnate your woman? That's a question I'm wondering up to now. Yes, there is something about a black person we are clearly not told by these people. Now, if before you pack your bags and you go to these countries, there is something you need to pay attention to. We have the opportunity, yes, and then we have the dark side. Many people are only focusing on one side and not on the other side also. I think we should give attention to the other side as well. It's not that I'm trying to be pessimistic. I'm trying to discourage anyone from going to Japan. There are people I actually know that have gone there, people, not person. And I personally wanted to go there. But when I see how much black people are saying the problems of moving to Japan, I'm discouraged and I'm thinking, it's rather I stay here in my country. You know, there's something about visiting a country and there's something about living there. When you're a visitor at someone's house, someone will always show you the best behavior. But when you're there to stay, that will never be the case. When you're there to stay, it won't be the case. They'll show you their true self. Now, I want us to watch this video, a number of videos here that I find are interesting, and they are going to prove that going to Japan is better as a visitor than living over there. Let's watch this, and then by the end of the video, I shall share with you my thoughts, where we shall also have a deep, critical analysis. So let's dive in.
Black men, Japan needs you. Japan is calling specifically for black men. I know you're saying why, Tasha. They say they need babies, and black men tend to make a lot of them. After South Korea proposed last week $75,000 per baby that a family has, Japan is in desperate need, okay? And they are calling all black men, specifically immigrants, to come and impregnate their women so that they can save their dying population. I don't understand because, you know, black men were once and still is on the inner side of the line, which means their lives, I mean, what are you going to guarantee us if we send our men over there to help save you? Could you imagine? Think about this. After everything they put us through, everything, y'all trying to take these men out. Now you need them to repopulate the earth? The United States is responsible for what's going on over there in Japan. Why should we be held responsible? And get this, they ain't even paying no money to do it. They're just saying, please, please, black men, immigrants, please come have babies with our women. Here's the thing. We're going to need to run some tests because it could be from what happened years ago as to why their population is down. You know what I'm saying? That stuff's still in the soil. It's still in the air. You already know what I'm talking about. What's that white man name that thought it was a genius idea to create the biggest bullet in the world? Oppenheimer. Yeah, that's his name. So why is it that, you know, y'all called him this, y'all called him that, you enslaved and you did this, and now you ain't calling back. You calling to come save your community. And I'm going to go over there and I'm going to start me a negotiation firm over there in Asia and stuff. And I'm going to have black men come breed with them, but they're going to get benefits. They're going to get lifetime protection from any type of child support if they decide to leave and don't want to stay in these here countries. They're going to be set for life, which means anything that these kids bring, it is going to come back directly to the black family, which means if I send Sheck over there to breed, right? Let's just say hypothetically I sent him over there on a contract breeding, anything that these kids inherit is going to come back to us. The same way they do it with these, you know, we used to be slaves on this land out here, and anything that we work, you know what I'm saying, they own and went back to their family. We going to start sending it back to Africa, back to the black families. That's the type of contract I need if you need this sperm, because this one ain't dying. We're going to get our kickbacks out of here. Moving on.
There's a dark side to Japan that people don't talk about, and today I'm going to try and tell you some of the dark stuff that people don't talk about. And everyone keeps saying, oh, Japan is perfect. It's not perfect. Every country has its problems. And I'm not saying this because I'm bashing Japan, but I just want people to know that, you know, sometimes some media forms can be very, you know, cleansed out, where people don't want to show the real things that really happen in those countries. But yeah, I'm Bacon, and I've been in Japan for almost 6 years now, and I feel like I do have some knowledge. This is in no way or shape saying that I hate being in Japan. I like it being here, but you know, there are some things that I feel like people don't talk about. So like the first thing, it's the harassment of women, especially on trains and in public. People don't talk about it, but women literally get harassed to the point where in big cities trains have to be separated, like a women's only car and a men's only car, because men here be taking upskirt videos of women. School girls on their way to school, men put their phones under their skirts and take pictures. Like, it's crazy. Because of those kind of harassments, all phones that are manufactured in Japan, if you buy a phone in Japan, you can never remove the shutter sound on the camera. It will always make the sound, that annoying sound, because people kept taking pictures of people in public. That's the first thing. And you know, I think I'm just gonna say the second thing. I think I'll do a part 2 as well. The second thing that people don't talk about in Japan is the high rate of sexual that happens here, which is unreported, and where also sometimes the police, you know, they tell the victim to forgive the perpetrator. And there are also cases where people have been given 3 years for, you know, raping their own children, their own kids, and they get 3 years in prison. It's crazy. Anyway, I'll do a part 2 if you guys want to listen, and if this is part 2 of the dark side of Japan. My name is Bacon and I've been staying in Japan for over 6 years, and I feel like I have enough knowledge to inform you of what you should expect if you think of coming to Japan to work here, or even if you come as a visitor. So my disclaimer is I'm not trying to scare people. Japan is very good, to be honest. I like it here, but you just need to be careful. Don't think it's all hunky-dory like what people make it out to be. It's not. Now, I talked about essay in the previous video, and I'd like to elaborate that. Most people who get essayed, especially like when they go on dates, let's say you go with a guy on a date and then he assaults you. If you take the case to police, usually they try to talk you out of pressing charges. They actually give the perpetrator the choice to pay you so that you don't press charges, which I find very weird. To me, that's not proper. And the perpetrator can simply say, I was drunk, I don't remember doing it, and that actually counts as an excuse. Now, I'm not saying that's what happens all the time, but there have been cases where that has happened. And also people normalize, you know, that kind of assault. I remember I think this beginning of this year, I saw a report about a man who was essaying his own daughter from when she was 9 until she was 20. His reason in court was, I wanted to make my daughter feel good. I know people who do that kind of weird stuff, but no one gives that kind of a reason in court. So that only shows how much it's kind of it's normalized here. Now, the third thing that I don't like about being here is the fact that wages don't change. Japanese wages have been the same for the past 20 years, and actually it's been shown that they're actually going lower, which means people are now they're getting paid way lower than what they used to get paid 20 years ago, which I find is a very big problem. That's not fair. And right now the Japanese yen is so weak, which means a lot of people are now beginning to suffer the effects of the low salaries. Yes, they do try and subsidize, you know, and helping out people, but then why do it that way? Why not just raise people's salaries by just even 5%? That can help someone out. That's another side of Japan that I do not like. The fourth thing about Japan is the segregation of people with disabilities or mental health issues. That stuff is pushed down so much that families with disabled children literally don't want the neighborhood to know. Those kids can be sent off to a facility where they stay for the whole year, and the family only goes to visit the kid. They don't bring the kid back home, which I find very weird. I remember there was a case in 2022 or 2021 where some lunatic went and killed people with disabilities at a facility. The families were so ashamed about having their relatives in those facilities. They asked the newspapers not to publish the names of the victims, their kids. How is that possible? That your kid was violently murdered, but you are way too concerned by people knowing that your kid could not walk. That's crazy. I think I'm not yet done. I think I'll do part 3. I really don't want it to be long, but I just don't want to say things and then people take them out of context. I'm trying to explain my point, so I'll do a part 3. If you guys want to do it, please tell me in the comments. So a lot of Japanese people, when they ask me where I come from and I tell them I'm from Zimbabwe, they usually have some certain reactions which are usually almost the same. My name is Bacon and I'm a Zimbabwean based in Japan for the past 6 years, and I'm going to be telling you some of the things that Japanese people always say when I tell them I'm from Zimbabwe. Now, the most common response to me saying my name is Bacon and I'm from Zimbabwe, the first thing they always say is Zimbabwean dollar. Zimbabwean dollar. The Zimbabwean dollar is, man, if you're a Zimbabwean and you're watching this, just know Zimbabwean dollar and Nika. Everyone knows about the trillions, the millions. They all ask me, "Oh, are you millionaire? Are you millionaire?" You know. So yeah, that's the first thing they always ask me. The second thing is they ask me, "Oh, Africa?" Some of them don't even know about Zimbabwe, and I'm like, "Yeah, Africa, where? Near Nigeria?" For some reason, the only two countries they know from Africa, it's Nigeria and South Africa. Oh, and Kenya. Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria. They're always top of the list of African countries. So I have to tell them, like, I'm just above South Africa. Now, the third thing people always ask me is, oh, Kuru, how? How did you get here? And I'm like, what do you mean? Swimming? Like I'm being for real. And I'm like, nah, actually, I came by air. By airplane? And I'm like, yeah. So how do you think all Africans come to Japan? Like that's how they view Africans. They literally think it's one big village with one big chief and everyone has flies on their faces or something. And even when I look at books which portray, usually Kenya is the country which is always portrayed in books. They always show the Serengeti. They never show anything which is modern. They will show some lions roaming around and someone wearing like, animal skins. Then the last thing they always ask me, are you a good athlete? Do I look like I can run? But they always assume all Africans can run. And this one time, this lady literally asked me, in fact, she didn't ask me, she told me, she was like, I bet you can run fast because you got to run away from the lions. Crazy. But yeah, those are some of the things people always tell me when I tell them I'm from Zimbabwe. Now tell me what people also assume about you, wherever you are, even if you're in a foreign country and then you tell them about where you're from. What do people tell you? Tell me in the comments. Finding a partner or finding someone to date in Japan should be listed as an Olympic sport. Or rather, we should start extreme sports, and dating in Japan should be one of those. Yesterday I was talking about how ladies of like really Afrocentric features, having really huge assets, it might be an issue sometimes for you to find someone to date. So today I'm going to be telling you my second point on why I think it's difficult to date in Japan. My name is Bacon and I'm based in Japan. I've been here for 6 years and I'm just going to be giving you my own thoughts about dating in Japan. Now, the second point about dating in Japan is you will most likely find that there are some people who want to score brownie points of being cool by hanging out with foreigners. Those people in Japan are called gaijin hunters. So it's a certain group of individuals who just go for foreigners. And gaijin hunters actually, most of the time they're looking for a free English class. They do not want to pay the expensive fees to go for private lessons, and then they think, you know what, let me date Bacon. At least I can learn my English whilst I'm dating her. You might think, oh, it's okay, it doesn't really matter. But the relationships are never fulfilling because for them it's transactional. They just want to learn English. And it's also a status thing. Walking around showing the other friends, oh, I've got foreigners. I've got a foreign girlfriend. And at the end of the day, 90% of the times, it never leads to anything solid. They do it, and then when that excitement of being with a foreigner wears off, they dump you and then they go back to their Japanese counterparts. That's the other thing which is so difficult about dating in Japan. You don't know if someone just needs an English lesson or they're a gaijin hunter, they just hunt for foreigners. You never know. That's the other thing. You can never know if someone really truly likes you in Japan. That's one of the points which I feel it's a little bit lighthearted. It's not so, but it's...
I'm still surprised that even after watching this video, there will be some Africans, there will be some black people who would still want to go to these foreign countries. I'm telling you, East, West, home is the best. Home has always been the best. If you think that you will find paradise in another country because you left your own country, it's high time you sit back and think twice. You don't have paradise here on earth. It's you and your home, and you make use of your home because those people in those countries already made their countries what it is right now. They worked so hard. Remember, Japan was bombed twice, in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Those people who always suffer tsunami, they work so hard. Yeah? The country of these many automotives originate from Japan. So these people have really worked hard, and seeing a foreigner just come in there, they feel bad about it. Yeah, necessarily that is something they won't say, but they feel bad about it. It's you to sit back and ask yourself, are you going there to stay or are you going there to live? Just have some self-respect for yourself and say, what benefit will it be if I'm shown disrespect to such a higher extent just because I want to live in your own country? It's better you come back here in Africa, live back here, just go there and visit. If it's work, work, and always get back home. Because these issues are serious. You can hear that some of them assault their daughters sexually, which is very, very wrong. It's incest. It's the greatest sin. If there's a sin that God really does not like, I'm telling you today, it is sexual sin. In fact, when it is involved with the families, that's an even extreme one. Now, it's time you sit back and think, do I want to move to a country I'm not liked, I'm forcing myself to be liked, or do I want to stay in my home country and build it? My option to you is stay here and build your own country. Yes, that's all I have to say in this video, and it's true, it's very true that visiting countries is going to expand your knowledge, but always get back home. Yeah, thanks for watching and see you in the next one.